Well, hello and welcome into another edition of 8Sports Nightcap. Nolan out here, joined by Madelyn Frentress. Madelyn, busy weekend this past week in the world of sports. Busy week today on Wednesday in terms of some college hoops, which just seems to be every Wednesday for us here recently. But the big story this week, the National Championship game on Monday. What a game it was. Indiana defeats Miami in what was probably the best national championship game in recent memory, 27-21. In just dramatic fashion. Were you able to watch the game?
Well, we were both in the office, so we kind of watched it a little bit. I think we were both in between plays, we could go back to work and then we'd look up and there'd be a play. But I did go home and watch the end of it with that Fernando Mendoza rushing touchdown where he just bullied his way into the end zone. So I did see the Heisman Mendoza moment that everybody was raving about. And yeah, like you said, it was just one of the best national championships we've had in a long time.
That particular play, obviously people talk about having a Heisman moment, right? Normally it's, Reggie Bush or around the outside, kind of almost like a Vince Young in the national championship game against USC are the ones coming to my mind. That's probably before your time. But
I have my Jaden Daniels Heisman
there
moment
you go. But
against
Mendoza, his Heisman moment came following when he won the Heisman Trophy, and what a moment it was, and what a game it was. Like I said, we've had some bad national championships.
65-7. TCU and Georgia.
Let's
that was
look
a bit
at
of a
some
stinker.
of these past national championship
Unless you're a
games.
Georgia fan, of course.
They haven't been good as of recent.
No.
Let me scroll
Blowouts.
down here. We haven't had a one-score game, for example, in a long time. Those are champions. I don't know if it's going to get.
And you'd think with the new playoff, with there being 12 teams and Miami was a 10 seed. So facing a 1 seed, a 10 seed, you would think that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just me. I didn't think the game would be as close as it was. I didn't think it would be a blowout. I didn't think it would be 65-7 territory, but I didn't think it would be that close. So
yeah, even at 15-0, people were still kind of writing Indiana off a little bit. I think everyone thought that Miami had a shot. I mean, before the game, 3 out of the 4 folks previewing the game, I think Pat McAfee was the only one that picked Indiana. Nick Saban, Desmond Howard, they all picked Miami to win this game. So even moments before kickoff, Indiana didn't have faith from a lot of people. And what I think this has done more than anything, Madelyn, is any team in the country now feels like they can win a national championship. It used to be, our Virginia fans or Virginia Tech fans in the state, it's maybe we could get a college playoff berth, but we're never going to beat, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. They're on that next level, LSU. But now here we are. Indiana is the losingest program. They have more losses than any other team in all of college football, and they just won the national championship. But I think the one counterpoint to that is the fact that they have Kurt Signetti, and maybe it's just him that can pull off these miracles. But I think what it does a little bit is it gives everybody hope. It's kind of funny that Miami was the scrappy underdog, despite the fact that they've won national championships in the last 25 years.
Yeah, and I think especially coming from an SEC school, I think the SEC. I think they should be a little bit kind of scared right now. I mean, with the way that the playoffs are going, and knowing that these schools like Virginia Tech just got that huge donation, and then Indiana with having the biggest alumni base, the way that it's trending with NIL, the SEC used to be, kind of the big dog in, the big dog of the conferences. Yeah. And now I feel like it's a little bit more of an even playing field.
Yeah, the past 3 years has been 3 different Big Ten schools, right? You had Indiana this year, obviously, Ohio State, and then Michigan. Before that, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Alabama. It hadn't been since 2014 that a Big Ten had won one before this 3-game streak. But yeah, what a game it really was. What impressed me the most, I think, was Malachi Toney and all the connections to the city of Miami. He's a guy that grew up in Miami. He's 18. I'm pretty sure this could not be true. Someone's going to have to fact check me, but I'm pretty sure he left high school early. He reclassified to get to college sooner, and he was unbelievable. Like, you could see on every single play, Indiana was making a conservative effort to make sure that he didn't get the ball, and he still I think finished the game with 10 receptions and a touchdown. He still had a huge impact on the game. Mendoza being a kid from Miami that wasn't recruited to Miami.
The storylines were crazy in this one.
Grew up a Miami fan at the games, and of course, in very Fernando Mendoza fashion, whenever he was asked about it, he was like, "Oh, I don't want to make this about me and my past." He's been a character to watch.
I saw a TikTok the other day that said, "I think Fernando Mendoza has so many fans because he doesn't try to be cool.
No.
He's completely 100% authentically himself, and he doesn't try to be cool like a lot of these football players do, and that's why so many people love him. Like, you can't root against him." And another interesting point that was brought up after, I think it was the interview after the game with him and Holly Rowe, was that he was told by Miami that he wasn't even good enough to be a walk-on there. Because obviously you said he grew up in Miami. He wanted to play for Miami, and he wanted to walk on there, and they said, "You're not good enough."
Yeah,
so,
I don't even think he was a 3-star athlete out of
I think he said he was 2 stars or something like that, maybe.
And that doesn't even make it onto the 24/7s of the world.
So his life is just an absolute movie right now. I mean, he's just had an absolute.
Absolutely. Have you seen Chad Powers?
No.
Okay.
What
well,
is it?
You gotta
I've heard of
watch
it though.
Yeah, it's the Glenn Powell. Goes back to college to play football. There's the backup quarterback in that show is Fernando Mendoza. I swear to you, he's like happy-go-lucky about everything. We're just playing football. We love playing football, and that's just how
Okay, I'll write that down as my homework.
And I haven't seen anyone else make the connection, but it's a carbon copy. And then him cussing on national television was hilarious for the first time. But wow, what a run it was for Indiana. 16-0, first team to go 16-0 since Yale, since the 1800s. Obviously, that has to do with the fact that this was the first opportunity, or maybe the second opportunity for teams to go 16-0, because they're obviously a longer season with more playoff games. But wow. Before the season, another thing, like Kirby Smart before the season said, we're not going to have these undefeated national champions anymore with this new playoff. Like, teams are going to be losing and win a national championship. And he was right and wrong, right? Miami had 2 losses going into the national championship game. Who knows the last time that there was a 2-loss team in the national championship? I'm sure there's one out there, but not often, especially in recent history with the BCS. But Indiana, obviously, on the opposite end of that argument, going 16-0 this year. Kirk Cinetti at JMU did it with a lot of Virginia guys. There's 9 Virginia guys on their roster. Starting tailback, I don't know his first name, last name Black, was a star this year for Indiana. Kalen Black from Virginia Beach, a 3-star athlete from Salem. And he's the starting running back for the national championship winning team. And so the way they did it was so interesting too, right? There was, I think I saw somewhere that their average age was only like 6 months younger than some pro teams. And
Indiana's average age is 23. The Green Bay Packers is 25. So there's a lot of experience on that roster.
And that's how they did it. And they didn't really do it the way Texas Tech, right? They made the college football playoff this year. They have the number 1 transfer class, and they're doing that with their NIL money. Indiana, they have a fair NIL budget, but it's not like they're going out and spending the most money. What Kirk Cinetti's done is he's found a way to find talent and has an eye for talent and developing skills clearly. And the fact that he did it in 2 years, I mean,
with one of the most losingest programs in history. Like, I'm seeing these videos like, oh, who's going to be the next Indiana? Is it Arkansas or Missouri? Like, you guys don't understand how bad Indiana was before the Kurt Cignetti era. Like, they were one of the most losingest programs in history.
Here's a photo from Google Images of
it's not even close. Like, it wasn't even close to what people were saying, like, oh, who's going to be the new Indiana?
Like, look at this game. Nobody is at this game for a matchup a few years ago, back in 2023. Another empty stadium here.
And Indiana fans took over the Hard Rock Stadium. I mean, it was all red in there, it seemed like.
I'm jealous, is I think the best way to put it. Sarah Molina, great reporter here, Indiana grad.
Did she go to Indiana?
She went to
That's cool.
Indiana. She came in trying to brag about winning the national title. And I was like, how many games did you watch this year? And she's like, that's the first football game I've ever watched. Well, the first game you watch is a national championship, 16-0. And that's kind of how it is. She talked about it. Our main anchor, Dana Albritton, she was down in Miami to watch the game. She's an Indiana grad, but she's a true fan. I'll give Deanna her flowers, but they don't care about football in Indiana. Obviously, now they do. They have the largest living alumni base. They kept hammering that home during the broadcast. So they have a lot of fans, but they are basketball fans. It's a basketball school. Hoosiers. I mean, everyone knows that it's a basketball school. And I think this just proves to every other fan base and every other team in the country that if you get the right coach, you get the right quarterback, and you put a little bit of money into a program, anybody can win a national championship. And it might have given false hope to a lot of fan bases across the country that they were able to go in year 2 and win a national championship. It's a story that is made for movies. It's something that will probably never be repeated. Signetti, I have called this from the start of the season. I think is going to turn into the villain of college football instead of the lovable underdog, because if they continue to churn out this much talent and success, people are going to quickly go from thinking he's the best to kind of like Nick Saban was
like,
the
could
same
it be
way.
a dynasty type of deal?
And all of a sudden he becomes the villain, especially with his attitude and his smugness. People are going to start, I'm calling it, they're going to turn on him, but that's what happens when you have a lot of success, and he has he's done a remarkable job, and it's probably the greatest hire of all time. I've heard jokes about that being made.
Sports are better with a villain, though. Let's be for real.
They are.
I mean, when Tom Brady was in the NFL and Patrick Mahomes, obviously they're out of the NFL playoffs this year, but and in the Saban era, all that stuff, I feel like football is better with a villain. But
I know. We had Lane Kiffin, and now we got Kirk Signetti.
Oh, Lane Kiffin at LSU. We'll see how that turns out.
All right. Well, let's turn our attention now to the VCU Rams. Had an early. I don't know, had an early week game, a game early in the week against St. Joseph's. Kind of a emotional game, if you will, for Phil Martelli's family. Obviously, his dad, Phil Martelli Sr., a longtime coach at St. Joseph's, took them to the NCAA tournament multiple times, has the second most wins, I think, in program history. Or has the most wins in program history, second most wins in A-10 history. I think it's 446 wins there. Long-time success at St. Joseph's. Obviously, Phil Martelli Jr. was a player for his dad. Didn't really play, more so like a player-manager type, if you will, while he was with the Hawks. But spent a lot of formative years in Philadelphia around that campus with his dad, watching those games, playing for that team, wearing that jersey, and then for the first time ever, coaching against St. Joseph's. When he was at Bryant, they never played St. Joseph's, and so this was his first opportunity to kind of lace him up, if you will, against the St. Joseph's Hawks, and you kind of expected him to talk about that a little bit more, but he kind of brushed over the fact that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you kind of have to just instill it in your players. Don't put any extra pressure on yourself. This is just, we got to treat this like any other game. But that was kind of the mindset, at least that he told us in the press conference that they had, was just, this is like any other game. Put all the personal and the storylines aside. This is. I have history with this school, but it doesn't matter. We just have to treat it like any other A-10 game. You got to be competitive and you got to go win. So, and they did.
Big, kind of look at the game flow here. It's kind of interesting. St. Joe's with a big second half came back to take the lead late in the second after VCU kind of dominated for much of that first half. But it was the Michael Bell story, 9 for 11, finished with the career high 20 points.
He was electric
out of nowhere. And that's what's interesting, I think, about this VCU team is how deep they are. And on any night, it's a different guy that's going to break out, right?
Exactly. And the thing about Michael Bell that Coach Martelli Jr. was telling us was just that defenses don't really know how to guard him, because he's great from the outside. I don't remember what he was. I think he was 9 for 11 shooting, but I don't know how many of those were threes. But he hit a couple of key threes that really kind of, push them along and momentum-wise. And, in the paint, too. Like, he's so tall. Like, you just never know where he's going to score from. And so it was just a really exciting game for him to watch. He career-high 20 points for him. So he was definitely the difference maker in that one, for sure.
Yeah, much-needed win for the Rams. They had lost 2 straight after kind of getting back on the right track following what was, I don't know if I want to call it a disappointing non-conference, but they didn't win any of the big games that they were hoping to. They took care of Virginia Tech, who's now looking like a pretty good win as Virginia Tech's on the bubble right now. But they lost their opportunity against Vanderbilt, against New Mexico, against NC State, against Utah State. And then they kind of had a couple of wins that they cruised by, and then those back-to-back losses, one at home to St. Louis, who looks like the best team in the conference, and then a loss on the road to George Mason, who also looks like the best team in the conference. Yeah. So a couple of big wins for them, very important. They hit the road for Davidson this weekend. We'll see if that game's played. I think North Carolina's expecting some snow too, so we'll see what happens with that. And then next week, the big one, they'll host Richmond for their first of 2 matchups. I think that's next Wednesday. Yeah, it is. So looking forward to that matchup and what's to come for VCU, but much needed win at home. I think they needed that confidence builder. I think they needed to continue to build some confidence following this back-to-back losses. It's just a matter if they can continue to beat the teams that they're supposed to, right? I think they were underdogs against St. Louis and George Mason. So if they can win the games that they're supposed to win, it should set themselves up, for that 3-4 seed in the A-10 tournament. And as we know, it's probably not likely to get an at-large bid in the A-10 this year. It might happen with St. Louis and George Mason, but they're probably at this point going to have to win the conference championship, tournament championship, if they want a spot into the big dance at the end of the year. As for the Richmond Spiders, they're in action tonight. Let's give them a look. I'm not sure if this will air in time to do a proper preview, but they'll take on the Rams tonight. They've done a good job of beating teams that they should beat. They've lost a couple of close matchups this season as well. Obviously struggled their last time out against St. Louis. They lost to St. Joseph's, but had some big wins this year. They took down St. Bonaventure 89-80. I think they've only won in New York like twice in the last 20 years. And then they took care of business against LaSalle. So they're kind of in a similar situation of where they're winning games they probably should win and then dropping some close games. And it's a remarkable turnaround from last year's team. I think that's got to be said because last year the Spiders really struggled at times, and they look like one of the better top half teams in the A-10 this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Also have Longwood in action tonight. You're going up to Farmville.
Very excited.
The Lancers have had an up and down season, I think it's fair to say, underneath Ronnie Thomas, his first year. So they're still kind of trying to figure things out. But to be in their first year, I think they're off to a pretty good start. And they got a couple of local guys on that roster,
they're sitting at about 10-10 on the season, 2-3 in Big South play. I think they can. I mean, this Gardner Webb team that they're going to face tonight is one of the bottom tier teams of the Big South this year. So I think they just came off a buzzer beater loss to Radford, and that's just a team that they always kind of struggle with. So to be right there, and they were down by like 17 at halftime, and then they came back, rallied all the way back to tied at 83, and then it was a buzzer beater that they lost to. So I think they can take care of business tonight, and I'm excited to go to Farmville.
Be sure to tune in to 8Sports tonight at 11. We'll have highlights from that matchup as well as Richmond as they're both at home tonight. But thanks so much for tuning in to the Nightcap. We'll see you next week. Good night, guys.